Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Steven Universe. Today the episode I'm going to be watching is Lion 4, Alternate Ending. Another one of the movie-ish sounding episode names that, again, I'm just kind of baffled on what it could be. I mean, obviously Lion's going to be involved to some extent, but with Alternate Ending, I think I mentioned this at the end of the previous episode, my best guess is that maybe they'll reveal how Lion came about, or his true origins, because we did see in, not really a flashback, but the one episode with Jamie being, Buddy? I can't remember the name. Anyway, the character's journal, and when he saw Rose, Quartz, and her lions. So maybe we'll find out what happened there. Only one way to find out, though, and that is to begin the episode. So let's get going with Lion 4, Alternate Ending, in 3, 2, 1, go. It's such a cat.
Okay, I think I got something. Come on, Lion. I need you to focus here. No.
Oh my god! This is a lion hairball! Ew. Oh. That's right, he can't breathe in there.
Maybe if I give me something this key unlocks. Take me there.
Maybe we will get the origin of Lion. Huh. Why didn't you just transport there, Lion? Hello.
So this is it. Couldn't we have just warped here?
Good question.
I need to know what this tape means. I won't get mad the next time you throw up on my bed. No, I don't understand. Why is this the same as the video you guys made?
In case he was a girl.
Nora is you.
I'm my mom and my sister?
Cut it down to 2 names.
So that's it. I'm just supposed to be your kid.
Well, yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Aww.
I think I can handle that.
Aww. And again with the eerie music. So that was not what I expected at all. I mean other than Lion being involved, obviously. Huh. Well, first, let me say this. The woman who voices Rose, I don't know what it is, but anytime we do get, like, even just a voice sample from her, I absolutely love it, because there's something so beautiful and calming about her voice. And it may also be the fact that it's so rare to hear her voice. That's the fact that it's so calm all the time really helps with that, because again, it's like the voice actors for this show are awesome, but I think it may be the fact that it's more of a rarity to actually hear Rose's voice, so just whenever we do actually get to hear it, it's nice. Even with that the not Rose from A Storm in the Room, or The Storm in the Room, whichever it was, when the Rose was clearly a bit off, which I didn't comment on in the video itself. I should have done that, but yeah, something was definitely off. But some of my favorite parts of this episode, starting with Lion, obviously, and pretty much anytime Lion is on there, I'm pretty sure I say this, but just Lion being a cat. And the fact that Lion is actually based off of a cat of Rebecca Sugar's, I think. It's either Rebecca's cat or possibly her brother's cat, who Steven is actually based off of. But yeah, I just absolutely love Lion. And the fact that he had a hairball. It just... And like the animation drawing style they had on Lion during that scene was so amazing. Because, yeah, they clearly modeled that after a cat. Because I've seen my girls whenever they've had a hairball. And, yeah, it's that sort of, like, panicky, like, what's going to happen kind of look. So, yeah, I really like that aspect. My next favorite part was Steven just trying so hard to basically decode the situation, to find out his destiny. And, you know, starting out with just watching and rewatching that tape, trying to, you know, see if like certain words match up, or like the first letters of each sentence like he did there. It was just like, you know, looking for some secret message. I really thought that was funny. And strangely enough, like, it seems like something he might have learned from Lars. Because Lars is really into... No, wait, not Lars. Ronaldo. Something he might have learned from Ronaldo. Because Ronaldo's really into, you know, the whole... I guess you would call it Illuminati thing. It's like, you know, finding out the truth. And he might have learned some of those tricks from Ronaldo, for all I know. But, yeah, I really like that aspect. But then also just the resolution of what he was searching for, trying to find out what his purpose is. And especially when they go back to the desert, or when Lion takes Steven back to the desert and Steven's just talking to himself. It was one of my favorite lines. The quote of the episode probably would be, "Who were you? Who am I?" Because it really reflects on the entire episode as a whole. Is just Steven trying to figure out who he is, what his purpose is, which is something that so many people in this world want to try and figure out. It's like, you know, what's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? And ironically enough, it boils down to he's supposed to be Rose's son. He's supposed to be Greg's son. Or I guess if you take the potential Nora into it, it's supposed to be their child. And it's as simple as that. So yeah. Speaking of which though, the idea of Nora. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when he found the tape and saw the name Nora on there, I didn't know what to think at first, but when he mentions, like, you know, does he have a sister? I was just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because it seemed like a possibility, but at the same time one that seemed a bit unlikely, because I would assume that if there was a sister, that the Crystal Gems would have known about it at the very least. But still, it's like it didn't seem outside of the realm of possibility somehow. But yeah, just Nora, the idea of Nora, and that makes me wonder whether or not back when the show was originally being conceived, did Rebecca consider calling it Nora Universe? I don't know. It may just be a name that they came up with around the time for this episode. But I do question that. And that would actually be, I don't know, I'm sure someone has probably asked her that in an interview or an Ask Me Anything thing on Reddit. If that is the case, I'd like to know if that has been asked and what her answer was. But yeah, let's see, other than that, Oh, another great line from this episode was when Steven got even more confused for just a moment when Greg says, Nora is you. He's like, what? I'm my mom and my sister? It was just... Oh, it was an amazing moment. Oh, but yeah. Yeah, as a whole, this was a really nice introspective episode. It's like getting to see more of what's going on for Steven personally. It's like, you know, clearly a lot has been eating him up, and there's a lot he's still going through, trying to figure out so much that's been thrust upon him. And just in this little side episode, that this is one that perhaps you could argue is unnecessary, or its purpose is limited. But this is definitely an episode where I can see it being a development of Steven to help come a little bit more to terms with who he is, what he is, because just continually, every time he comes around someone that is from Homeworld with the saving Lapis and Peridot, they always call him Rose, and that just, I'm sure that just adds to this idea, this identity complex of who he really is. So again, just seeing him be able to come to terms with things a little bit more. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he's not completely there yet, but just it was a beautiful moment. And yeah, again, going back to what his destiny is, who he's supposed to be, is something that so many people can relate to. It's like, my purpose is to be her kid. And for a lot of us, I mean, we try to think of some greater idea, some greater destiny for ourselves, but in the beginning, we're someone's kid. And I guess that should be our destiny. I don't know. Maybe that sounds a little bit stupid. Maybe that sounds weird. I don't know. But again, just it all boils down to Steven grew a little bit more this episode, and I was happy to see it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about this episode in regard to the episode itself, and also what I've had to say. Try not to go on too much about how stupid that last thing I said was, because I'm sure it sounded kind of dumb and overly rambly, which I tend to be rambly anyway. But looking forward to hearing what you all have to say, and also looking forward to checking out the next episode, which is going to be Dug Out, which makes me question whether or not baseball is going to be an element of this episode again. But someone in the comments actually pointed out a while ago, or at least a few episodes ago, that Doug is actually apparently Connie's dad. We just knew him as Mr. Meshwaran? I can't say the last name. But basically Connie's dad. But his name is Doug. So it's a pun, I suppose, of sorts. But I'm interested in seeing what all it's going to be about. Obviously, we're probably going to get a little bit of Connie in this episode and get to know her dad a little bit more, in the same way that we got to know her mom a bit more in that episode with the hospital. So I'm looking forward to that, and as always, looking forward to doing more of these episodes. Everyone, thank you so much once again for being here for this episode, and I will see you in the next episode of Discovering Steven Universe. Later days!